Rev up your engines. Here we go, 2011 Silverado. The guy's deciding, should he buy it? Should he not buy it? Now we'll start out with the positive and the negative. The positive, it's got a big old V8 engine. 5.3 liter V8 engine. It can last a really long time. But now the negative, it's got a GM 6-speed automatic transmission. You want to talk about weak links? That's the weakest link on this vehicle. Now, it's not as bad as the newer ones though. You get into 9-10 speed automatics, they've had a lot of problems with them. At least the 6 speeds have been out a long time. And if push came to shove, I'm going to check it out. And if it shifts fine, doesn't have any codes, it means it's in good shape now. But like another man told them, hey, it could go out at any time, which of course is true because it's GM. And that's the first thing to go out on these. But it's not a deal breaker because if it's working fine now, it probably won't break for quite some time. And they are rebuildable. They can be rebuilt. You can get remanufactured units. It's not like that's an impossible thing to do. And when you consider the price of the new ones, some of them even have 4-cylinder, tiny little horrible engines in them. These old V8s look better and better and better. You look about it cosmetically, yeah, you know, it's an older truck. Somebody put a ding on the bumper, no big deal. It's a badge of honor. Now, it is a 4x4. Bad's been taken care of. No liner, just some scratches. The guy who's selling it was from Alabama. We'll look for rust, but we probably won't find it. As we look under, there we go. Oh man, check it out. The frame is so clean. It's still got the original label that hasn't come off of it. Now that is a clean frame. This particular vehicle, I would say, if you wanted a lifetime truck and you didn't give a crap about gas mileage, they are all gas hogs. With a frame like that, it looks almost like it did the day it came off the showroom floor. You could fix it forever. Transmission goes out, replace it. The engine's fine now, but if it goes out, it's a V8 engine. You can replace it, right? Everything on this truck is replaceable. Having a frame with a body bolted on makes it stronger. Granted, that's one of the reasons it gets worse gas mileage, because heavy frame weighs a lot. But it also makes it immune to hitting bumps, bending stuff. It's strong. If you ever did in any kind of a wreck, the frames can always be straightened, done over. You wreck a unibody vehicle and the frame goes, you just say goodbye to the vehicle and buy yourself another one. We hook up the computer, let's just listen to it. Well, what do you hear? You hear a V8 engine humming along. You can use a lot of gas, but they're good engines. We'll see how the transmission goes when we road test it, but I'm gonna hook up the big scan and see if there's any computer code, see what the data looks like. And then we'll go from there. Now the guy's thinking about buying says, when you look inside, the interior looks kind of cheap, and it is, because it's a GM product. But he put these seat covers, they're nice seat covers because the seat's ripped. But you know, they don't look bad. But yeah, I agree, it's all plastic, cheap crap. But on the other hand, if you watch my video on the electric BMW, the i3, the interior was even cheaper. It would look like it was made out of cardboard inside. It was really bad. That's just, you know, how Americans make cars. It's cheesy looking. And this baby doesn't even have cruise control. So we're talking about lower ends there. It have traction control. You can turn it off if you want. There we go. You can see that's turned off. Now the check engine light's on, so here we go with a scanner. All right, here we go. Read the VIN number already. Picking it all up. Chevy truck, 5.3 V8. It knows it's 4x4. Does it have a manual transfer case? Yes, it does. There it is. Even better. As far as I'm concerned, the less electronics, the better. Instead of all that electronic crap, the switches go bad, the motors go bad. This is mechanical. Psh, psh. You pull it with your hand. Nothing beats that. You want 4-wheel drive? You put it in 4-wheel drive with your hand. And now it's getting ready to do an auto scan, and it's new enough, it'll do a topology scan, so here we go. And while it's scanning, we'll just kind of look around. Like you said, you can see, it is kind of cheesy looking, but I mean, it gets you where you're going. It's a good work truck. Power door locks and power windows. Now, this is his friend's car, so he's driving around before he buys it, and he had to replace that switch just because it was broken. Yes, cheap plastic crap. Stuff that you're going to have to buy, you know. You expect that in a GM product. Okay, look, you can't see it, but I can feel it. It's all dissolving on the horn. It's sticky on my finger. All right, it's 13 years old. It's got 5 trouble codes. So we'll start out with the main one, ECM. See what that is. Just put it in the back of your mind. He doesn't have to get this thing emission tested. So if it doesn't mean anything, we don't give a crap. If it's got an evap leak and it runs okay, we don't care. Evaporative emission, vent solenoid control circuit. But it runs fine. okay? It's probably the evap canister vent valve. They go bad on these all the time. It can be the circuit, it can be the computer, it can be lots of stuff. Usually it's a vent valve. But he's not gonna care. Nobody's gonna inspect this car and say you can't drive it on the road. So no one is gonna care on that. If you were in a state that had emissions testing, then you could spend a lot of money fixing it. Sometimes you even have to change the main computer if that circuit's gone. So in this case, we really don't care. Erase. That's not a hard code, so it erased it. All right. Now we're going to look at a code here. The supplemental inflatable restraint, otherwise known as airbag. Passenger presence module has a problem. Okay, there's a scale in the passenger seat. It's probably not working. It's supposed to see when a passenger's in there. Like if you put a deck of cards, nothing happens. But if you sit there, it knows to arm the airbag. And hey, seatbelt works fine. Who cares? He's probably the only guy riding around in it anyways. That's the passenger. It's not the driver's airbag. The cards down here are the theft deterrent module. Security system controller in learn mode. No transponder. On-program transponder. At some point in time, you can see this is a newer key. Somebody changed the key, didn't set it up. But what do we care? It starts the vehicle. Somebody might not have done their job, so we'll erase and get rid of them. If somebody programs it but doesn't reset the codes, guess what? See, it's not detected now. And we'll go back to the main analysis, and you can see it's good. It's not bad anymore. So, we'll start her up, and we'll look at live data. See what kind of shape it's in. Here's all the data. Check it out. Commanded air-fuel equivalence ratio is 1. The 1 is red. Okay, so that means one thing. Buses are doing their thing. The fuel terms are going up and down. You rev it up, it'll change a little bit, right? But if you look at the mass airflow sensor, 6.9, 5.3, 5.8, 8. You see how it keeps moving around? If he buys the vehicle, tell him to change the mass airflow sensor. You can see it's the original one. 2 screws out of cause, you plug another one in. You can get those things for $100-something, so I'd say change that and knock it off the price of what he's paying. Now, this was one of the V8 engines that had the variable cylinder shut-off system, the active control, so it could run on 4 cylinders instead of 8. He had a guy in the garage disconnect that system and bypass it. That is a good thing. You're never going to get great gas mileage anyway. You lose a lot of power, and as I've explained to people, in the long run, you do not want cylinders of your engines turned off for one main reason, and that's the thermal damage it'll do to your engine. You got 8 cylinders, right? They're all supposed to be the same temperature. If you shut half of them off, half of them will be running hot with spark, and half of them won't. Part of the engine hot, part of the engine cold. Guess what? Metal expands and contracts, and it screws up the engine. Instead of being round inside, both the pistons and the block will get worn slightly oval instead of round. So you got that system. Shut the stupid thing off if you want to make it last longer. Okay, we'll look at the automatic transmission now. That is the weak point. Now, it has no codes in the automatic transmission. You can see the data at all, looking good. Look, the long-term fuel term of bank 1 is 0. That's perfect. And the long-term fuel term of bank 2 is minus 2%. Well, that's not bad for a vehicle with 130,349 miles. As we go down the road, hey, I can feel the shocks. I mean, they're somewhat worn. It's nothing outrageous. It's a truck after all. I hear no wheel bearings on any wheel bearings wearing, so they're all in good shape. I don't hear the transfer case or the rear end making noise, and that's good. Okay, now we're out on the road where the truck belongs, out in the country, in the soybean and cornfields, and looking in the mirror, there's nobody behind us. So we'll see what's left of this engine and transmission here. We'll come to a stop, and here we go. Sounds good. Smooth shift. Hey, still runs pretty much the way it did off the factory showroom floor, really. I don't care what people say. They're making these Silverados now with 4-cylinder turbos. They're piles of crap. This V8 is what it's made for. You got torque, you got power, and yeah, they're gas hogs. But let me tell you something. Buy yourself a Turbo 4 and pull some weight or tow something. You'll get worse gas mileage than this, because the 4-cylinder engine is overtaxed when this one is not. Step on the gas. See how the speedometer starts moving? Well, that's what you want. Pretty good shape. He's probably going to get it for about $5,000. You can find something like this with no rust, just buy it. Because if you decide you don't like it, there's a bunch of good old boys that are looking for a solid frame Chevy Silverado 4-wheel drive that runs as good as this thing is running, and you'll have no problems passing it on. Now you know a little bit more. I am not a GM fan, right? but the older ones built a lot better than the newer ones. Not all this fancy 9-10 speed automatics, 6-speed automatic, still works perfectly fine, and they're totally replaceable when they do wear out. Normally 150 to 200 they'll wear out. Put another one in, you get another 150, 200 out of it. Hey, price a new one and you'll be screaming for one of these. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.